Okay folks, today I'm at the Canal Basin Park and we got an old Everett railroad train. Now you can't get into it or that, but that's pretty passenger train, pretty cool. And I gotta walk up here. It looks like a amphitheater or some sort. I don't know, I guess they have concerts and what have you at some point during the year. And there's a sign here which we'll see if it says anything. Sylvia H. Schraff Amphitheater. Oh, that's what it is. George and Viola Gardner Musical Garden, donated by their children, Norma Gardner Wireman and George F. Gardner. So here is an old tanker, and I don't know if they use this to plow or fix the railroads. I thought that was cool, and they do have benches every once in a while, and you can look out. I'm not sure if that's the Juniata River down there. We'll get a better look at it in a bit, but if that's the Juniata River or whatever, but part of the reason the canals were made. So as promised, I'd get you a better look at the water. Just going down very easily. There's some flowers up there. I don't know if you can see them or not. Some pretty purple pinkish flowers. And we'll continue on and see what we see. This is very fine stone in this part, which is very hard with the rollator, and I have a feeling that wheelchairs would have a pretty hard time here also. And they do have a neat horse statue here in the park. Not sure what it's about, why. Maybe because horses carried the trains over the mountains. I don't know, but I thought it was cool, so I wanted to bring it to you. And then they have some wheels here. Original four-wheeled grade tractor of the Allegheny Portage Railroad, on loan from the Blair County Historical Society, which means Baker Mansion probably has that, which is in part of my Altoona video. A neat little wooden playground type place here, and a more modern one down below. And there's a bridge, but that seems to be closed off. I thought I saw people going over it, but all it really does is goes over into town. But yeah, they have the bridge closed off, it looks like. There's some statues, unfortunately with graffiti on the statues of the man and his dog. You all know what I think about graffiti. And then there's a building which I'm not totally sure what that's about, so we'll go over and see. The bridge is open. I'm not going to go across it because all it does is go over into the city. The building is the Reisler House Visitor Center. It says open, so I'm going to go in and see what it's all about. Maybe I'll be able to film, maybe I won't. If I can, I will. That's cool. The building is really cool. Out a video.
Oh, you're doing a video?
So I am with Tim, and he is with the Canal Basin Park, the Reisler house, and he's going to give us a tour of the house and the history.
Okay,
so whenever
well,
you
I'd
want.
like to direct you over to here. Kind of got a...
I got to get this wooden ship,
Mm-hmm.
just because I think those things are cool.
That's a model of the types of canal boats that came through here back in between the 1830s and the 1870s.
So lots of history.
So if you look at this banner right here to your left, right here, I'm sorry. This basically says it all. You can read it rather than me read it to you.
Well, I will read it to y'all. Hollidaysburg has been a gateway to the West for more than 2 centuries. The town had its first major burst of activity when the Pennsylvania Canal was completed in 1832 and the Allegheny Portage Railroad 2 years later. Later industry and the town's role at the seat of government for Blair County helped to sustain the community. Today, Hollidaysburg is best known for its historic buildings which date from all periods of its history. This exhibit will orient you to the history and sites of Hollidaysburg before you set out to explore the community and the surrounding region, which means the video I already taped will have to come after this one.
So over here we have this wonderful scale model, or diorama some people call it, and this is depicts what the town of Hollidaysburg looked like in the 1830s. After the canal was completed, it came from Columbia, Pennsylvania, which is near Harrisburg, all the way to Hollidaysburg. So Hollidaysburg became an inland port. So these canal boats would come from both directions, and we could talk about where they came from the west a little bit later. But the boats would enter into this canal basin, which was wider than the traveling canal, so they could unload at various warehouses. They could unload their products and people and transfer them to the Allegheny Portage Railroad, which the tracks parallel the canal basin. And then they would carry the goods and products and people further west to the foot of the Allegheny Mountains and up the inclined plane system of the Allegheny Portage Railroad. But back to Hollidaysburg, they had, in its peak of its activity, there were probably 3 boats an hour just coming through this canal basin lock, which is right out in front of our house that we're in right now. If you look over to the left where these clumps of trees are, that depicts the house that we're in and the canal lock where they would change the level of the water so the boats could continue to move their cargo. And then the rest of the model just shows what the towns look like and some of the high points, the courthouse location, and a few of the churches.
Spoiler alert, people. It headed west towards Pittsburgh. And there's some old
There's a chart
steam
in their diagram
gauge
that shows some of the geography of the canal system, and
back up
photographs
for
and
this one.
some anchors and some boatsmen's horns. And if you look over here, this poster here working on the main line, that shows you a typical view of the canal. It was wide enough for 2 boats to pass in opposite directions, and the boats were towed by horses or mules, and they actually stabled the horses and mules on the boats.
We have a computerized thing that gives you a video.
Right, there's a touch screen there that you can see. There's 3 different main topics about the history of the canal system and industry and architecture in Hollidaysburg.
So that's cool. I will not show you all that
That takes
because
about an hour to go through all that.
Yeah, that plus it very well might be copyrighted, and I don't.
This is interesting. I don't think that's a problem, but that's an actual replica of an advertisement poster from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh traveling details.
Yeah, that's cool. And we also have the Hollidaysburg has been a railroad center for 150 years. The Pennsylvania Canal was slow, but a tremendous improvement over earlier forms of transportation. However, the canal had to close during the winter-spring floods, which sometimes wash out canal banks, and the Portage Railroad within its 10 inclines was slow and expensive. By the 1850s, just a quarter of a century after their construction, Pennsylvania canals were made obsolete by privately owned railroads. From canals to highways.
And we can divert you to this house that we're in that has become the visitor center. It came later after the canal was abandoned, and it just coincidentally happens to be in the same location as the original lock tender's house. So there's a story about Mr. Reisler and why he came to Hollidaysburg.
And I will read that to you all. You know how I love reading to you. The residence in which you are standing was built in 1897 by Anthony Reisler. It stands on a property that was called the Lock House Lot. Although the canal era Lock House was gone by the late 1800s, Anthony Reisler was born in Württemberg, Germany in 1871. He learned the butcher trade in Zurich, Switzerland, and in 1891 immigrated to America. He arrived in Altoona almost penniless and moved to Hollidaysburg a short while later. In 1892, he married Josephine Knoll, with whom he had 9 children. A self-made man, Reisler became the leading meat dealer in Hollidaysburg. He served as a borough council member and was a leading parishioner at St. Michael's Catholic Church. The Reisler House combines various Victorian architectural styles. The Borough of Hollidaysburg rehabilitated the building in 2000 to 2001. Oh, this is cool.
This room, we have this mural on the wall that has titled The Hollidaysburg Scrapbook Past and Present. So these are photographs. Most of the buildings are still existing in Hollidaysburg. A few of them.
So more people have come in, so I kind of lost our tour guide. Sorry about that.
Most of these buildings exist. This one, you want me to point to them?
Sure.
This building, the American Hotel, from 1909, that is no longer there, but that is on the Hollidaysburg downtown, the Diamond at the intersection of Montgomery Street and Allegheny Street. That's where that was. This, the Lloyd House, Mr. Lloyd operated a canal freight system. The boat you saw, the model was actually called
the Lloyd Line.
Yeah, Lloyd's Line. Right. So unfortunately, this building was demolished this house was demolished about 3 years ago. And this is the original Gageport foundry, where McClanahan Corporation is now on that property, but that building is no longer existing. This is St. Michael Catholic Church in Hollidaysburg, that still exists. The First Presbyterian Church is still in existence. And of course, Highland Hall was completely renovated into senior citizen housing. It's a beautifully restored building. And down below, the Baptist Church is now occupied by a church called The Journey. And of course, we have in the upper right the Blair County Courthouse. It still looks just like that. And there's an interesting picture of the Diamond intersection in downtown Hollidaysburg from 1908. So on the left of that picture, you can see that's the American Hotel that we talked about earlier. On the right is right now I can't remember the name of the building, but there's restaurants in that corner on the right and where the covered wagon is. So you can look that up. That's at the intersection of Allegheny Street and Montgomery Street. And then below is a picture of the original Hollidaysburg foundry from 1851.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hollidaysburg also has its claim to be the original location of the Slinky Toy Factory,
which I don't think is going anymore.
No,
The
the family,
James.
James family, yeah, Betty James. That family sold the business. There's a toy company that took over it. They still use the same location. So
Well,
you
and
can
they
look that up.
reopened it, but it's closed again because you can't find any hours or anything like that. So don't believe what you see on the internet, people.
Oh, okay.
Don't always believe the internet.
Well, I
You
just
can-
learned something about that. Excuse me, I'll get which way you going? Am I going there?
Yeah, we have a small room in here with, again, more murals, which I think is so cool.
It's very accurate as far as the location of the streets and the homes. It was based on photographs and historical information. And that mural was painted by a local artist. It's on the plaque on the round table.
Oh. So this was painted by Michael Allison, who is a local, as Tim told us. Always like to support the local people.
Here's a painting by a local graphic artist, Robert Hunt. He's internationally famous for his paintings, and he focuses on transportation systems like the canal and the Allegheny Portage Railroad. His paintings are almost like photographs. If you stand back and look at them, you would think they were just colored photographs.
Are these all his, or?
No, just that, the first one I showed you, and this one,
Okay.
that's a painting of
So-
what the canal basin would have looked like. These are actual just photographs of when the park was constructed and restoration was made to the Reisler house.
So this is basically the park. Unexpected gem at the Reisler house and meeting Tim. I will actually tag his YouTube channel in the description box. If you want to hear some music, go check him out. And anyhow, overall, this is a nice little park. Unfortunately, for handicapped accessibility, I'd have to give it a 6 out of 10. And if you want, you can cut and paste the Buy Me a Half Tank Gasoline link down below. And remember, if you just have to use rollators, canes, wheelchairs, whatever it might be that you need to help live your life to its fullest and enjoy going out or staying in and doing things you like to do. It's not making you handicapped, it's making you handy capable. Thank you all so much for joining me. You have a great day. God bless.